Show the screen. Okay, and I can.
Let's see.
You ready? I'm going to start the broadcast now.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Oh, welcome, and thank you for joining us today. We know you're busy, and we hope these webinars will provide you access to new contacts like Maria and great information. We have about 600 employer registrations for today, and we appreciate your feedback. The Experience.com webinar is part of a series of lunch dates that Experience supports to help its employer base do a better job at entry-level hiring. We'll make a recording of this webinar, and any questions we ask during the webinar we'll make available to you right away. Our next webinar is Wednesday, February 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time with Dr. Phil Gardner of the University of Michigan. Phil will go over his research on national employment and recruiting trends for 2012 and beyond. Please mark your calendars and we'll send out invitations. My name is Ed Wagner, and you can see a picture of me on the right side of your screen. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at Experience, and I'll be on the phone with Maria today. We'll have a few polling questions in the presentation, and we'll show you the results as we go along. Just 2 minutes on Experience. We've been in the market for about 17 years, matching qualified college-educated talent with employers and jobs. We power many of the university career centers throughout North America. This week we announced that we merged our company with Connect.edu, which focuses on the K-12 space. The combined company now manages 20 million students and alumni records, about 3,000 college, university, high schools, professional, and honor societies throughout the U.S. We work with about 130,000 employers annually. You can search our database to find the entry-level talent you're looking for, or advertise your brands on our network to better compete for talent on the college campus. We also have a strategic relationship with LinkedIn. We're the college feeder for LinkedIn, and every candidate in our network can now get a pre-populated LinkedIn account from their Experience accounts. So if you need online help searching for or attracting entry-level talent, we can help. Today, I'm very pleased to introduce Maria Stein, who runs the Career Center at Northeastern University in Boston. Northeastern is known for the high quality of entry-level candidates it puts into the market, directly due to its required co-op program, which makes sure its students have practical work experience before getting into the job market. Maria is who employers turn to at Northeastern, and we've asked her to come in and tell us what works and what doesn't work at Northeastern and provide some guidance and best practices to our employers. Maria, welcome, and thank you for meeting with our employers today.
Thank you, Ed, and I'm happy to be here. A little bit about me. I've been doing career services co-op kinds of things for about 25 years, so I have some knowledge about this space. I'm on the Experience Board of Advisors, have been doing that for a few years, which is a great opportunity for me to be able to have an impact on the software that drives our office. I am co-chairing this year's annual conference for Eastern ACE. I have been a past member of NEASF, and I continue to be a board member there. And that's about it for me. The agenda. We're going to talk about what's different about Northeastern University. What are your recruiting options, what I recommend you do and do not do. There will be some poll questions, and we'll get your feedback. And we're hoping to be about 45 minutes, and hopefully to end a little early if we can. About Northeastern University, we are a highly selective school in Boston. Highly selective means for us this year we had over 43,000 applications for 2,800 seats. Students want to be here. Career Services has been a top 5 ranked career services for the past 4 years. We were number 1 last year, we've been number 1 before, and we're number 2 this year. Co-op is in our DNA. Our students are taught to go out to work full-time for 6 months to really put to practice what they're learning in the classroom, so that does make for a different recruiting experience when you come to my campus. What are our goals? Full-time recruiting, co-op intern opportunities, building brand awareness. I think where you start is really building brand awareness. That is really what's going to drive your presence on our campus and students wanting to interact and engage with you. Spring is typically a slower period for recruiting. Most of the recruiting happens in the fall. Does that mean you're too late? No. There's still opportunities for you to engage with our students. There's still opportunities to build your brand. There's still opportunities to do all of these things. We're going to show you how. So how is your brand perceived on campus? Are students showing up for positions? Are they coming to your booth? Are they applying to your positions? Do they show up for information sessions? And more importantly, are you open to constructive feedback? My job and my staff's job is to help you succeed on our campus. That's how we succeed. Building brand takes time, effort, and investment. You can build a brand or you can do an event. Building a brand is critical. In the past, employers have built their brand by participating in a career fair. We allow employers to do this thing called employer in residence, where employers come to campus and really have the opportunity to set up shop and meet with students one-on-one, to talk about opportunities in their organization, to provide resume feedback, to really engage students in a more informal manner and really help students get to know who you are and the opportunities available in their organizations. Co-ops and internships are another great way to build your brand. On our campus, co-ops are critical. Our students are starting co-ops their sophomore year. They have great experience. They come back and they talk to their classmates about the wonderful experience they had with XYZ employer. Likewise, if they have not so good an experience, that's going to kill your brand. So you want to make sure that you're building a brand, not just doing an event. Career Services truly is your partner. We know what works on our campus and what doesn't work. We help you build a targeted approach based on your needs and your goals for your recruiting on our campus. We built a state-of-the-art employer center. We really do want you to consider that your home away from home. We have 15 private interview rooms. It is a wireless center. We have an employer lounge. We have coffee. We bring in lunch. We really want you to feel like this is your office for the day.
So this is our first question for you all, and we will give you the feedback right away. What is your preferred way to find candidates on campus? We'll open the poll up, take your feedback, and we'll give it back to you in about 15 seconds. Now this is a multiple answer. You can pick more than once, so go at it, and we'll show you what we learn in a moment. Just a couple more seconds. Okay, let's close the poll. And here's what we've learned. We'll make these polling answers available to everybody after the webinar.
So opportunities to engage and impress candidates. Last year we did this one-day senior event called Senior Situation. We just actually ran it again this past Tuesday. We had 25 employers on our campus. Over 200 seniors participated. We had this year 4 concurrent job search related workshops per hour co-presented with employers. We had 25 employers available to meet one-on-one with students for interview prep, for resume feedback, for just information about opportunities within that organization. The feedback from students was phenomenal. They really appreciated the opportunity to engage with employers. The feedback was also, do this again, do this more often. I wish I could do it more often. It's a huge investment of time from the employers that work with us. It's a huge investment of my staff time. But it is a great way to really build your presence on our campus and really provide students an opportunity to engage with you that's going to yield you higher results than an info session. These are new ideas, not old ideas, and I think you have to be open to hearing about new ways to engage with our students. Setting your expectations. You know, my goal with employers is always to be honest and realistic. Again, it's about helping you succeed. So I'm going to come up with ideas and events that are going to help you get the results that you want and you need because you're putting investments into this. So I will come up with something that's going to yield you more than 5 to 10 people. An info session on my campus is going to yield you 5 to 10 people, and if you're someone who's going to bring several managers with you and you're going to have your HR people there, and then 5 people show up, you're going to be sadly disappointed, and oftentimes you might only get 2 or 3 or no people to show up. So we're going to come up with scenarios and events that are going to help you deliver on the goals that you want to achieve on my campus. We're going to give you opportunities to engage in a variety of methods over a period of time, because that is what we find is going to help you succeed at this. Traditional and creative approaches. What you see on your left are really very traditional approaches, not that they don't work. Things like info sessions, job posting, resume reviews, mock interviews, on-campus interviews, job fairs. They all bring value, but they all differ on campuses. What I really like to see employers doing are technology demos. If you're a high-tech company and you have some cool technology, come talk to students about that. Students get engaged and excited and can see possibilities and potentials for themselves within your organization. Co-ops. Co-ops is a great vehicle for a student to really see what your organization is about. Not just a job, but the culture, the people, what is valued, how are people moved forward in the organization. Employer in residence. Again, this gives students a one-on-one opportunity to meet with somebody from your organization and ask questions that they couldn't ask in an interview, and ask questions that they might not feel comfortable asking in a group setting. So it is a better use of your time. Career conversations, we run these every week. We'll take a slice of a career. We'll take marketing, for example, and we'll focus an hour on careers in sales and really help students dispel the myth of that used car salesman kind of career and delve into it. And we'll bring in 3 employers to talk about their take on it. Advice in a slice. Again, this is an opportunity for more of a casual interaction. We'll have pizza brought in, and students can ask advice of employers about this particular field, or how do I get started, or what skills do I really need to be highlighting on my resume. Industry nights, networking events, etiquette events. These are all things that students need, and they know they need, and they need help with. And when we can engage employers to work with students in these events, again, students leave with a very uplifting, positive take on the employers that participated in the events. Career fairs. Career fairs are a wonderful way to really build a brand. It's a career fair, not a job fair, and a lot of people say, well, what's the difference? I want employers there who are interested in students. They may not have a job today, they may have a job tomorrow, they may not have a job till next year, but they know at some point they want to be at Northeastern's campus recruiting the kind of students that Northeastern delivers, and it doesn't happen overnight, so you need to invest and keep on being there. And most of these things, barring career fairs, will cost you nothing. I'm not in this game to make money. The career fair, there's a fee because I incur fees, but everything else is really about creating opportunities for you and students to connect. Optimize your success on campus. Think about coming to campus and who you're bringing and what that person is showing my students. I always recommend that you bring an alum, a young professional, or if you have a co-op student from my school, or if you have a student that's interned at your organization, bring them to my campus. There's nothing worse than coming to campus, bringing an alum from BC who tells me how great his school is and how wonderful everything is at BC. Guess what? That's not going to buy you any value on a Northeastern campus. Northeastern students want to hear about how great Northeastern is. They know Northeastern is great, and hopefully you're at Northeastern because you think Northeastern is great. So think about that. Think about if you're somebody who's struggling with diversity, but all you bring are white males. What is that saying to that perhaps timid Chinese student who is not going to be comfortable approaching your table? So think about what you're saying versus what you're doing. It is very important that the words and the actions are on the same page and they're not contradicting each other.
All right, we have our second question. There'll be 4 questions total. What kind of individuals are you sending to campus? And we'll open the poll, and because you can have multiple answers on this one as well. We will be making the slides and the outcomes of these polls available after the webinar. Okay, polling is closed, please. And up on your screen, we'll see the outcome. Okay. Can you show those? Thank you very much.
How do our students perceive employers? Oftentimes employers think that students know their name because it's a brand name product. Not necessarily the same thing. What you're putting out there versus what the student is looking for don't always coincide. Our students today want to be engaged, they want to be challenged, they want to be really seen as potential leaders of an organization. They hit the ground running, they want to be feeling like their ideas matter, that they're contributing to the end game of the organization. They want to be part of a team. They want to know what a typical day is going to be like and that they're going to have time well spent. They want to know expectations. They're not simply looking to come in and sit down and be passive about their role and work. They really want to be engaged and they want to be active participants in the business at hand. So really think about how you're onboarding your students and how you're bringing them into the organization and how you're letting them think about what they're going to be doing as they're part of your team. What are your options to attract diverse candidates? Show diversity across your communications. What do I mean about that? If you have printed material, if you're putting pictures on your website, are you showing diversity in those channels? If you're on YouTube, are you showing diversity in your channels? If you have a college recruiting portal on your website and you're doing young hire testimonials, are you making sure that it's diversity through that channel as well? It's all really your branding, and students, that is branding on your campus. You know, whether you're sending somebody to campus, whether you're doing a printed piece, show the diversity. Don't just say it, but put it out there as these are our actions. If you're an organization that you know you're challenged with your diversity, be honest and clear with students. Say, you know, we know that diversity is a challenge for us and we know that it is hurting us in our business, but we really are looking to you to help us drive our diversity strategy and really make us that company that's not always not only talking diversity but really showing diversity. And you know, leverage the diverse student groups on campus. We can help you do that. Last year we had a group of students from Bess, Shep, and Sweet come to us and say, you know, we know we're going to need some help with etiquette because we realize that organizations, our companies, our employers are going to expect us to have either lunch or dinner with prospective clients, and we're not sure we're comfortable with that. Is there a way that you can help us put together an etiquette dinner? Wait, that was awesome. That was wonderful. It allowed us to really bring a group of students that had this mission and go out to employers and say, hey, we have these 3 different diverse student organizations who want this etiquette dinner. Any interest in helping co-write that event, underwrite that event? That was a tremendous opportunity for a really smart employer. We had over 80 students attend, and there was one employer who underwrote that. The students left with so much more knowledge about that employer that employer is still reaping the benefits of that. How does your social strategy affect your recruiting performance? Do you even have one? Is it working for you as a recruiting strategy? Are you interrupting students on Facebook? We hear on and on from students that, you know what, yes, we're on Facebook. We're on Facebook for our friends. We don't want career services bothering us. We don't want employers bothering us. We want employers finding us on LinkedIn. So they're now building LinkedIn profiles, and we're helping them build LinkedIn profiles. So it's important to really understand where they're coming from and honoring what they're trying to do. You know, that first message when you do a Google search, what's coming up? If you're an employer who wants to engage with students, students will Google you. What are they finding when they Google you? Is it what you want them to find? Because if it's not, then you got to think about how you're going to switch it out so that the good stuff is coming up, because they're critical. They're not just looking for money from an employer. They're looking for a number of different non-tangibles from an employer as well. And bear in mind that social media is a strategy. It is a tool. It drives traffic to a destination. It's not the end-all, be-all. A student won't not apply to an organization because they don't have a like page on Facebook or because they're not tweeting. That's not what's going to drive the traffic to your site. It's really having a comprehensive recruiting strategy that addresses the student's needs in an effective manner.
So our third question for you, and this is a single pick, do you have a social media strategy when it comes to recruiting? And we'll leave it open for about 20 seconds. Yes, and it's aligned. Yes, but it's aligned with my company's social pages. Not yet, but working on it. Not yet, or not sure how to proceed. Okay, can we close that, please? And show everybody the feedback. Okay.
So what's the right balance between on-campus and virtual recruiting? My go-to is always in-face. Being on campus, you can never replace that interaction, even with virtual. But if you're going to pull away from campus, then I would say try the virtual because students will show up. I would rather have you Skype in or Polycom in or WebEx in than not show up at all. Leaving a campus hurts you more in the long run than looking at alternative methodologies. And we've WebEx, whatever that term is, employers into student presentations. So we've had a career conversation, and then we had the computer going, and there was one of our panelists was up on the screen answering questions. It works. The drawback is that you don't get that same level of face-to-face interaction, but it can be done very cost effectively these days. So always explore that as opposed to not having a presence at all.
And I promise this is the last poll question. How are you balancing your on-campus and virtual recruiting effort today? The polls are open. Are you using the online job boards, email campaigns, social media? Not sure. Let's leave it open for a couple of moments. Okay, and closing the poll, please. And can we see how people answered?
Huh.
Okay, thank you.
What to do and what not to do. Recruiting Gen Y and recruiting Gen X is very different. You need to bring the right game. You need to know that students are not settling. Even in today's economy, students are not necessarily going to go with a plan B. These are students who are used to achieving results their whole life. They've gone to soccer, they've gotten a trophy, they've done basketball, they've gotten a medal. So they want what they want. And recruiting is a process. It's not an event. It's ongoing. It's thinking about where do I want to be, what's my end game, and how do I engage students that have a very short attention span. The Northeastern University Career Center can be an extension of your company if you let us. We'll help you set appropriate expectations. We'll help you work with students. We'll give you a number of options in terms of building your brand on our campus, connecting with students, and having a successful recruiting season.
So we've asked you to submit a couple of questions. We have a lot of them. So we've picked a couple that I'll read off and ask Maria to answer for you. The first question, Maria, as a smaller company that does not do a large amount of recruiting, how can we compete against large corporations for talent?
I think small companies have a lot going for them. A lot of students, we see a lot of entrepreneurial students these days, and they really value working for a smaller company. The good thing is that most of the things we talked about today are things that any employer can do, large or small. A small employer can have an employer in residence. A small employer can come to a career fair or be in a career conversation. It's really about you telling me how much time you have available, and I'll help you figure out how to create that strategy and deliver that to students that are targeted to meet what you're looking for.
Maria, in the world of going virtual, what is the future of campus career fairs?
I think face-to-face career fairs will still exist. This was a big debate last year at NACE. A lot of people thought that career fairs were a thing of the past. Universum does this survey every year of students, what they're looking for. Career fairs consistently has shown up the past 2 years in the top 5 preferred methods for students to engage with employers. So I think career fairs are going to stick around. The virtual things, they're different. I know there's a number of different vendors out there doing them. I think it's an option, but it's not going to replace existing career fairs. I see it as a way to augment the number of career fairs that an employer might want to attend, but I don't think you're going to totally not have face-to-face time. I think as employers are shrinking the number of campuses they're visiting, I think virtual is a way to engage campuses that might not be on your target list.
What have you noticed as the biggest change in the mindsets of entry-level candidates from 5 years ago to now?
These students really have lofty goals for themselves. They're looking more than just a salary. They're looking at what's the job, at least on my campus, what's the job description? What am I going to be doing? What people am I going to be working with? How is this going to help me grow my career? Is there training here for me? Will there be a mentor? They're asking a lot more questions than they did 5 years ago. It's the nature of how they were raised. They have very high expectations, and they're not settling. I think that's a huge thing, is that they're not settling.
Maria, paid versus unpaid internships, which one should you do and when?
Well, at Northeastern, it's paid full-time co-ops. That's really our DNA. We're a school that's known for our co-op program. Over the course of 5 years, our students will do 3 6-month co-op. It's 90% of our students, more than 90% of our students participate in co-op. In certain colleges, if you look at our College of Engineering, our College of Computer Science, our College of Business, those students are doing 2 to 3 6-month co-ops, and they're paid quite well. I'm thinking some of them are making more than some of my staff, if not me personally. So they are paid. Unpaid internships, we have some of our freshmen are doing unpaid internships in some fields where, theater and music, there's unpaid internships there. But on our campus, hands down, it's going to be paid co-ops.
What recruiting trends do you predict for 2012, and what advice do you have for new recruiters?
I think we're going to continue to see more of the same. I think employers are still trying to hedge, and by that I mean nobody's willing to commit a lot of college hires too far in advance, and I think we're seeing that in more employers are launching intern programs. We're seeing a growing rate in co-ops. We have more co-ops in certain majors than we have students to fill those. So I think we're going to see more and more employers and schools jump on the co-op intern bandwagon, and I think that's going to create some interesting stuff out there in terms of the war for talent. I think, the earlier you can engage, the better. On my campus, I tell my freshmen to go to career fairs. I don't know that there's many other schools out there that advise freshmen to go to career fairs, but then again, I'm also telling my freshmen that they should be doing an internship, that they need to get comfortable speaking with employers and networking with employers, and what networking is. And, as employers, I think you need to think about, not only what am I going to need in terms of young talent for 2012, but what am I going to need for talent 5 years from now, and what do I do when the boomers leave, and how do I fill those mid-management positions if I have no one in the pipeline that I'm training and grooming to take those positions on? Because if you don't have them in-house, you're going to have to headhunt them from somewhere, and how are you going to pay for that? So sometimes it's better to kind of build up front and be prepared.
Maria, what is the best way for small organizations without travel budgets to have a strong presence on campus?
Well, with technology, you can do it. You can do it virtually, whether you're Skyping in for an appointment with a student, whether you're thinking strategically about where do I get my most students, and if it happens to be in Boston, then look at schools who have career fairs like I do that are open to other students, so that you can come to a Northeastern career fair and see students from all over Boston and actually Rhode Island and Connecticut and New Hampshire. I mean, they're all busing students in for our career fair, so it's a good use of money. I think thinking about collaborative events, if you know that you can only go to, and I'll keep saying Boston because that's where we are, Boston, for a couple of days, then try, work with us and we'll help coordinate. If you're going to visit Northeastern and BC, we can work together. If you're going to visit Northeastern, BC, BU, Harvard, MIT, we all know each other. We work well together. We can help coordinate and make it work for you. But use technology if you have no travel budgets at all. But, I think at the end of the day, you really do want to have some sort of presence, because your people really tell the students a lot about your organization, and it's harder to read people over the phone and over the web, and the one-on-one is critical. So I think you can do, I know you can do it because we've seen small companies do it, and you'll be successful as long as you listen to the advice you're getting from your career services.
Maria, I want to thank you again for doing this with us and our employers today. Just a quick reminder again that Phil Gardner's webinar is Wednesday, February 8th at 1 p.m. EST. We hope you can make it. Here's a link to register. Remember, it's case sensitive if you use that link. Again, thank you all for joining us today. We'll leave Maria's contact information up on the screen for a few minutes in case you want to write it down. And we'll make the webinar, the polling outcomes, and the presentation available to you within a day or two. Thank you all for joining us today, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.